This is the Kids Hour on the Harbour Light.
The Adventures of Sailor Sam.
Land ho!
Where away?
Starboard bow!
Hear the creak of the rigging. Listen to the wind whip the sails. Yes, boys and girls, Sailor Sam's big schooner, the Porpoise, plunges swiftly through the waves, eager to serve her master. Where's she going? Wish I could tell you, but we'll have to find out from Sailor Sam, an adventurous young man whose hunt for scientific truth takes him anywhere. Yes, anywhere. And with him go his two young cousins, Buddy and Nancy. Aye, mate. It's full speed ahead now for seafaring thrills with Sailor Sam!
There he goes, down the hill on those skis. It will look like an accident.
Of course. Who is to know that he was unconscious before he started down? Come, we must return to the lodge and prepare to leave.
Look at that, boys and girls. Sam has been knocked unconscious by the spy couple and strapped to a pair of skis and sent speeding down the dangerous slope. You remember that Sam and the crew had finally caught up with the couple who had stolen Spook, a highly trained monkey that Sam was taking to a space research laboratory in France. The police had been sent for, and the couple was unaware that they were being watched, when unfortunately they met Sam face to face up on the ski slope. Now they know that they are in danger of being caught. Let's get back to the ski lodge and see what's happening.
But shouldn't we run while we have the chance?
Think how suspicious that would look, Carl. We will calmly walk into the dining room and have a bite to eat. And then we will calmly go to our room and take our belongings to the car.
Including that little monkey.
Do not even mention that animal.
Though I wish we had never seen it. In fact, I wish we had never agreed to get it for them.
Must I constantly remind you that they are paying us a very good amount for that?
Not to mention him. But you are right. I suppose it is worth all this running. I will be glad, however, when we can turn him over to our contact, collect our money, and be rid of him.
Well, come now. Here is the restaurant. Be casual. Be normal. Get that worried look off your face.
I cannot help thinking of that one they call Sam.
But a ski accident is not unusual. He should know better than to go skiing alone. Especially when he is not very good on skis. What are you looking for?
I just wanted to see if any of his friends were in here. I wouldn't care to meet up with them just now.
Well, I'm sure they're waiting for him somewhere. They do not seem to act without him. We shall have plenty of time to escape before anyone discovers what has happened to him.
Figure out what's taking him so long.
He said he was just going to look at the view from the top of the slope. Possibly he was so impressed that he forgot what time it was.
Well, maybe something's happened to him.
I think I'll take a look on the slope.
Me too. I'll go with you, Ole. Well, what if Sam comes back here?
Well, nothing will be lost. We'll come right back if we don't find him. Not many people out today.
Yeah, we can play detectives easily. You can see right where Donahue and Sam talked back there, and how Sam walked right along here toward the top of the slope. We'll probably catch right up with them.
Yeah, his footprints are clear, all right.
Well, we're almost to the top. Look! He stopped here. Maybe to look at the view.
Oh, it sure is pretty. Look at all those mountains.
Sure surprises me the way they look.
Oh?
Yeah. All purple and white. I would have thought there'd be some other colors.
Well, let's go on up. It looks like Sam decided that he would be able to see even better from the top. See how his footprints go up? Here.
What?
Look up ahead. Come on.
Boy, it looks like there were two other people here. And what's that?
Unless I'm mistaken, that's a mark where somebody fell in the snow. It looks like there was a scuffle here.
Hey, you don't think the two people he met here were those two spies?
That's exactly what I think.
Well, what happened?
Just a minute now. Let me see. Sam came up from there and met the two of them here. And there was a scuffle and somebody fell. And then two people walked away down there and one person went skiing down there. I can't figure it all out.
The footprints going away are the same as the ones coming. That means that couple walked away. And Sam skied away.
But he didn't have any skis.
Well, we better get back to the lodge in a hurry. Maybe Donahue forgot to tell us that Sam had skis with him.
But if he didn't, he's in trouble.
I still think this sitting around is a bad idea. Let us leave.
Oh, all right, my dear Carl. I had hoped not to call attention to ourselves by a hasty escape. It would have been far better for no one to realize that we had gone. But the way you're shifting and looking around, you're calling more attention to ourselves than if we simply left. Come on.
Shall I get the car? You can have the luggage carried.
No. We shall leave as inconspicuously as possible. We will take our own luggage and leave by the back way. Well, stop looking around. Do you want everyone to think you're up to something?
I cannot help it. I keep feeling that we are being watched.
Well, here is our room. Once inside, I do hope you will get a hold of yourself.
Hurry.
Now we
You can hold out your hands, that's what you can do.
What?
Police here.
What do you mean? You are making a mistake.
No mistake this time, Anazita. Officer, handcuff them.
Oui, monsieur.
Carl, what have you been doing? Are you some kind of a crook? Why didn't you tell me?
Oh, no. What are you saying?
I'm afraid that won't work either, Anna. We've got the goods on you all the way.
Well, you'll have to catch me.
Stop it!
Going somewhere, Anna?
But surely that...
I'm not anything, Carl. I'm right here.
But how did you...
That's something you'll have to figure out. And I have a feeling that you'll have a long time to think about it.
Move along, madame, monsieur. We have a car waiting outside for you.
Boy, was that neat. So you really weren't knocked out at all, eh, Sam?
That's right, buddy. I knew that they were in a desperate spot and that they'd try almost anything. So I thought I'd better wait till I had help.
So you pretended to be knocked unconscious in hopes that they'd leave you and run.
Well, that's what I'd hoped.
That must have been some ski ride, Skipper. All slumped over.
And with your eyes shut, too.
I must confess, Nancy, I peeked. I knew they weren't running along in front of me, so I was at least able to see.
But even so, old man, that must have been a harrowing ride.
I was very thankful for all the water skiing I've done. But you can believe me when I say that I prayed the whole way down.
For land's sakes, I should say so. It gives me the willies just to be hearing about it.
Well, those two are on their way back to France.
And Spook is safe. Only I wish he'd wake up.
That drug should wear off soon, Nancy. I guess I'd better get back to the other lodge and get us moved out of our rooms. We've still got to go back to the border town to give Spook to the man from the laboratory.
If only we didn't have to give him away.
Even after all the trouble he's caused us?
It wasn't his fault.
Mind if I have a word with you, Sam?
Oh, not at all. The rest of you can be making your way to the car.
Okay, okay. Come on, kid. Let's go.
Well?
What's that, Sam?
You wanted to say something to me?
Oh, yes. It's about what we've been talking about every now and again. You know, about God and all.
Yes, I know.
Well, Sam, I have a bit of a confession to make.
Oh? Oh, here, I'll get it. You were saying?
Yes, you see, I've been playing with you a bit, I'm afraid.
Playing?
That's right. I'm not unfamiliar with what you would call the gospel. I've heard the whole thing many times. How men is declared a sinner by the Scriptures.
We all make our own reputation as well.
That's probably true. Now, Jesus Christ is supposed to be God himself, come to die in place of each sinner. I've heard it since I was a child.
And?
And I'm afraid I can't buy it. Actually, you're the first intelligent man I've ever known who has claimed it. Although, for the life of me, I can't imagine why. It's strictly for children, you know.
Let's stop here a minute, Donahue. Look around. There are the Alps, the swirling snow and the sky, and even the people. How do you explain all of it? Where did it all come from?
Well, you know the answer to that as well as I do. You're a man of science.
Science can tell me what is here, Donahue. It can describe things much more clearly than I could ever know for myself. But I have never known any scientific fact that has explained how, or from where, or even why all this exists. Maybe you have.
No, I can't say as I have. I've heard some very good ideas about it, though.
Donahue, as a scientist, I believe in God for the same reasons I believe in the scientific theories that I do, because they explain the largest number of facts. I believe that in God we can see reasons for all that exists, and in His Word we can find purpose for all of life. To a youngster, this is basically that Jesus Christ loves you, and in living to please Him, you're doing what you were made to do. And to the mind of an adult, it means the same thing, only in much longer words.
It's too simple, Sam. We know too much of the complication of the universe to ever accept a simple thing like that. I'm afraid I'll have to keep looking.
Oh, God has said that if you seek Him, He will be found of you.
I don't seek Him, Sam. I seek the real meaning of things.
You seek Him, Donahue, and if your seeking is honest, you'll find Him.
You don't give in easily, do you?
I have no reason to. I've already proved Him. Come on, let's get over to the lodge and check out.
And so the chase has ended for Sam and the crew. Spook will go to the laboratory in France to be used in space research. Sam and the crew will continue on to the international camp for the summer. And Donahue, well, he'll go back to Scotland Yard, of course, but in his heart there will still be a man in search of God. We hope you have found the love and friendship of God as shown in His Son, Jesus Christ.
Stay tuned for the listening post.
Hey, what's this old post?
What's that? You're gonna dent my bark.
Say, the thing talks.
Well, sure. I'm the listening post.
The listening post?
Yep. For years and years I've stood in this spot. I've seen much. I've heard much. And in my old wooden heart, our stories.
Hi, boys and girls. We're reading Danger in the Pines. It's written by Ruth Knowlton Moore and published by Herald Press. At night, Gail and Jeff ran desperately for the old shanty with a pack of wild dogs at their heels. Just when it seemed hopeless, the shanty door opened and a figure threw out a fiery brand, distracting the dogs and enabling the two to get inside. It turned out to be Grandpa Soy. The little lost girl was asleep on the couch, and Grandpa told them how the dogs had stalked him, but he had kept them off with his knife and had made it to the shack with the little girl. After a night's rest, Jeff took a look around the shanty. From an upstairs window, he saw smoke. Then Grandpa Soy came up the ladder to see it. He told Gail and Jeff that they would have to leave with Jenny as soon as possible. Grandpa pointed to the mass of smoke along the horizon.
See those black twisters rising out of the smoke? Well, that's smoke from pine pitch. And pine pitch burns like crazy, I can tell you that.
They watched the smoke in silence. Then Gail said, "You gotta come with us, Grandpa. We'll help you to the highway."
That's a good ways from here, Gail. I'd be only holding your young ones back and risking all our lives. It would be much more sensible if you'd get out yourselves and bring back help for me.
Gail frowned and chewed at her bottom lip. She glanced out the window at the ominous smoke, but said no more. She knew from experience that it was useless to argue further when her grandfather had made up his mind about something. They returned to the ladder, and when they had reached the bottom, Grandpa Soy said,
"Let's open that can of Spam and have us some breakfast before you go. I reckon you haven't eaten since you were treed by the dogs."
They all went into the lean-to kitchen, and when Gail had the can of Spam opened, Grandpa Soy carved the meat into 4 thick slices with his knife. They opened the bread and made sandwiches. Jeff thought he had never tasted anything as good as that Spam sandwich. The only trouble was that he was still hungry when he finished it and could have consumed a dozen more. Jenny was slow and awkward with her eating, and while Gail helped her finish her sandwich, Grandpa Soy hobbled to the door on his crutch and opened it.
"I'm going out to the road. I want to see if there's any signs of the dogs this morning." "I'll come with you."
Jeff held the door open while Grandpa Soy passed through. They crossed the weedy dooryard, and when they reached the road, Grandpa Soy glanced down at the tangle of tracks in the white sand.
"There's the lead dog's prints."
He pointed with his crutch at the big, round dog pads. He studied the direction the tracks went.
"They're fresh. They're headed back toward your tree in the way you came. That means you'll have to follow the West Branch back to the highway."
"West Branch?"
"West Branch of the Wading River. It's right down the road from here, but you can't see it from where we're standing because of the trees and bushes."
"Oh, yeah." Jeff remembered the large stream he had seen from the upstairs window.
"If you follow the West Branch, it'll protect you from the dogs in case they should come back and start following you again. All you have to do is get across that stream to the other side, and you'll be safe. They won't cross over on the side where the fire is."
"Won't the river protect this shanty from the fire?"
Swamps and streams don't protect nobody from crown fires, boy. With the wind fanning the fire ahead of it, flames from the tops of the trees reach out over the water and catch the tops of the cedars and pines on the other side. Now we better get back for Gail and Jenny, and you all best get going."
As they approached the shanty, Jenny ran out the door and up to Grandpa Soy. He leaned on his crutch for support and put an arm around the little girl.
"Jenny, you're going home to your Mommy and Daddy. And Gail and Jeff here are going to take you to 'em. You just be a good girl and do as they tell you. You'll soon be home."
The little girl pulled her head back, and her vacant eyes stared up at Grandpa Soy. Then she clamped her arms tightly around his waist and wouldn't let go.
"Oh, come now. It's time to go home, Jenny.
Grandpa tried to pry her arms loose, but she still clung to him. Come on, Jenny. We're going to take you home to your mom and dad. They'll probably have something good for you to eat. But the bewildered little girl buried her head in Grandpa Soy's heavy coarse shirt and wouldn't budge. What's ailing her?
She don't understand. Run in and get that rabbit I was carving for her, Gail. It's by the fireplace.
Gail hurried into the house. In a few minutes, she returned with the carving. Look at this, Jenny. You can have this rabbit if you come with Jeff and me. Gail held out the carving, but the little girl batted the air with her hands and set up such a screaming and wailing that Grandpa Soy shook his head and held her close to him.
No use reasoning with her. I can tell you that. All she can understand is that she's safe with me. Maybe it's better that she stays here. You could never get back to the road with all the fuss she's making.
Grandpa Soy hugged the hysterical little girl closer to him until she quieted. Then he turned to Gail.
I told Jeff that you'd best follow the West Branch back to the highway. I know it's a harder way than the way you came, but the stream will protect you from the dogs if they should show up again. Follow it north until you get up to that bridge where the highway crosses it. You'll know your way home from there.
He paused and glanced down at Jenny. Content in his arms now, she was humming a tuneless song as she fondled the wooden rabbit he had been carving for her. He glanced at her tenderly, then looked up at Jeff and Gail.
As soon as you get home, Gail, call the state police barracks. Sergeant Brower knows where I found Jenny. Tell him about this shanty along the sand road. He'll be able to get through in his Jeep.
Oh, I wish you and Jenny were coming with us. They helped Grandpa Soy into the house. I don't feel right leaving you here.
I know you don't. But Jenny and I'll be all right till Sergeant Brower comes for us. And you know, Gail, that we won't be alone. The Lord will be with us.
I know he will, Grandpa. Jeff and Gail left the tracker and the little girl standing in the doorway and started down the road toward the west branch of the Wading River. They turned once to wave, and Grandpa Soy, with his arm around Jenny, waved back. As they continued toward the stream, Jeff noticed the look of concern on Gail's face, the acute anxiety in her hazel eyes. We just gotta get help for Grandpa and Jenny. Jeff knew how she felt as he followed her hurried steps down the road. This is Chapter 11. About a quarter of a mile from the shanty, Jeff and Gail came to the west branch of the Wading River. As Grandpa Soy had suggested, they left the sand road and made their way north along the bank of the stream. Jeff looked down at the fast-moving, dark water that wound through dense undergrowth on both sides of its banks.
I can see now why Grandpa Soy said this would be a harder way back to the highway than the way we came.
Yeah, I know. Gail ruefully surveyed the tangle of laurel and fallen cedars along the bank. Jeff wished he had his camp hatchet along to cut their way through the thick growth of shrubs. Never again, he vowed, would he forget his hatchet or his compass when he went hiking. He took the lead, pushing back the stubborn laurel bushes so that Gail could slip through right behind him. Underfoot, the spongy bank was a tangled network of stringy roots and moss. Overhead, the white cedar tops were so closely woven together that they spread a twilight gloom over the stream. An eerie silence hung all around them. It was as if all the creatures of the forest had vanished in the wake of the approaching fire, and they were the only ones left in the woods. As they made their way upstream, they found the bank was so overgrown in places that they were often forced to go inland, but they were careful not to lose sight of the branch. Now and then they picked up animal traces, but most of them eventually wandered off into the pines or disappeared in the numerous blueberry barrens. It was in such a clearing that Jeff sighted the dogs. They were bunched together on the edge of a swamp. their heads turned away from the branch. Jeff stopped short and drew in a quick breath. Without uttering a word, he pointed them out to Gale. She looked stricken when she saw them. Oh, no! She went pale under her freckles. They stood motionless for a full minute as they watched the hound lift its head to sniff the air. Then Jeff whispered, "Their tracks led away from the west branch. Your grandpa said they'd gone back up the road in the direction of the dog tree. That's why he wanted us to follow the branch." "They probably went up the road and circled around to this swamp when they sensed the fire coming closer." "Yeah, I guess so." Jeff's eyes narrowed, and his fear gave way to anger. Wouldn't those dogs ever leave them alone? Well, they wouldn't tree Gale and him again, not if he could help it. He flung a desperate glance around him and glimpsed an opening in the brush along the riverbank. Grabbing Gale's hand, he led her down to the branch and out of the sight of the dogs. "Do you think they saw us?" "I don't know. That hound could have scented us, but I don't think they're following. I don't hear them. Of course, they could be stalking us. And we gotta get across the branch. Your grandpa told me that the dogs won't cross over on the other side of the fire." Gale looked down at the brown water. "It'll be deep in the middle here. Let's walk a ways. Maybe we'll find a shallow place to cross." They made their way along the tortuous, brush-covered bank, studying the crooked stream closely as they went. After they had pushed through the undergrowth for about a quarter of a mile, Gale cried, "Hey, look up ahead! There's a log jam!" Her gaze was fixed on a pile of branches and debris that narrowed the flow of the stream into a deep channel. "Do you think if we jumped, we could make it across?" Jeff eyed the channel. The deep water swirled and tore at the bushes along the bank. If they jumped and missed the log jam, the swift current would whirl them downstream, away from the bridge and the highway. While he was studying the stream, Gale answered her own question. "I think I can make it if you can." "Okay. It's worth a try." He had noticed a fallen tree trunk that jutted out from the debris. It looked broad and sturdy enough to land on. He was quite sure he could reach it with a broad jump. He turned to Gale. "You sure you can handle it?" She nodded soberly. "All right, then. Stand back. I'll give it a try. I think I can make it to that tree trunk that's sticking out there. Then I'll help you across." But we'll have to leave Gale and Jeff there for now. Bye, boys and girls.
Bye, Mrs. Schmid.
That's our story for today. Listen again next time when Flo Schmid comes your way with another story from the Listening Post.
Now it's time for Captain Kids.
Hello to all the captain's kids. It's time for another exciting journey on board the good ship Salvation. Hop on board with us and let's set sail, okay? Our favorite storyteller is on board with us. I think you know who that is, don't you? But in case this is your first trip with us, let me introduce you to Uncle Remus. He's ready to tell us another story.
Brer Fox and the lady who wanted a pet. Oh, there was a time, a long time ago it was, but there was a time just the same. And that's a funny thing about time. It don't make no difference whether it was yesterday or 20,000 years ago. As long as it's done happen, it's a part of time. It belongs to time. And that's the way it was with this story. It happened, and therefore it belongs to time, or it belongs to history. But a lot of the things that belong to history make the present day folks see things better and understand things better because of the experience of the past. And that's the reason every once in a while we got to tell a story about what happened a long time ago so we can benefit and profit from it. Today, folks is get the idea they can do certain things, and they would do them too, if it wasn't for the fact that if they look in the history book, they'll find out they already been done, and a lot of times when they was done, they caused a lot of trouble. That's true. Of course, there are a lot of things that happened in the past that caused a lot of good, too. But there are a lot of things that cause trouble, and that's the way this thing happened. You see, Brer Fox had done caught little Brer Rabbit and took him home to his den, and he was getting the fire all ready to roast him. And the one thing that little Brer Rabbit, bless his bones, do hate, and that's to get roasted. Old Brer Fox was talking. Let's go there. Come on. I'm gonna roast you like you was a year of corn. Oh, I loves roasting years of corn, and I loves roast rabbit. Please don't roast me. Please don't roast me. Do anything in the world you want to do, but don't roast me. You gonna get roasted. I don't want to get roasted. I don't blame you. That old hot fire sure gonna feel hot around you when it comes in as a roasting you. You sure gonna be a hot rabbit. Well, about time to put you on the spit, boy, and start turning the spit and roasting you. That ain't roasting. What is it? They're barbecuing. Well, what the difference? Roasted rabbit, barbecue rabbit, cooked rabbit, fried rabbit, boiled rabbit, stewed rabbit. I like rabbit any kind of way, except loose, and you ain't gonna get a loose. So up on the spit we... Wait. Now what is it, Brer Rabbit? I'm getting sick and tired of this waiting. I just want to ask you one thing. All right. I'm going to permit you one last question. Remember this, after this question, on the spit you is going. Okay. Ask the question, 'cause the fire's burning down. Let me see. But chillin' little Brer Rabbit was trying mighty hard to think of a question that would stay the ceremonies. He was trying mighty hard and trying everything he could think of to think of something that would keep old Brer Fox from putting him on that spit. But he couldn't think of a thing. He sit there, and then finally old Brer Fox say, "You ain't gonna ask no questions. Up on the spit you go." Wait, I got it. And sure enough, he did have it. And he popped old Brer Fox with this question. How would you like to be a pet? A pet? Yeah. I looked at him talking about a pet. Come on, boy, you is going on the spit. And with that, old Brer Fox lift little Brer Rabbit up, and he was just about to put him on the spit. And then finally, it got through to his brain what a pet was. And he stopped and he say, "Wait a minute. I'll wait for an hour if you want, or 10 years. I don't care." What is this pet? Oh, that, well, that's a great thing, a pet. What is it? Well, for instance, I know a lady that live over on the other side of town, where the briar patch start at, you know. Yeah. And she would love to have a pet. Well, what do they do with pets? What do they do with them? Great day in the morning. They give them plenty to eat, give them a nice place to sleep, pet them all the time, keep their hair brushed pretty and their coat nice and shiny and glossy. And they don't never have to stay out in the cold and freeze all the time like you does. Oh, you telling me something that ain't true. No, it's the truth. You mean to say that there's somebody that would pet me on the head and and give me plenty to eat and a good place to sleep and all that for nothing?
That's right.
I don't believe I'm going to put you on the spit and I'm going to roast you twice as brown for telling me a story. Come on, Brer.
Wait. There ain't no story.
How can you prove it ain't no story?
Let's ask Brer Bear.
All right, we'll let Brer Bear be the judge. If he say there is such a thing as them pets that you talking about, I'll let you go, providing that you'll get me a place to be a pet. On the other hand, if there ain't, won't take me long to build that fire back up. Come on, let's go. And with that, lo and behold, who would have thunk it? The two of 'em headed for Brer Bear's cave. Well, it was in the middle of the winter, and Brer Bear was fast asleep. And when they knock on the cave, he didn't like it too much, neither.
Oh, doggies. Who in the world can that be bothering somebody in the middle of the winter?
Open that door.
Okay. What I'm getting at is, I ain't never been this sleepy.
Old Brer Bear, he go over half asleep and open the door. And then when he opened the door, old Brer Fox push his way in and drag little Brer Rabbit in behind him. And Brer Fox say,
I want to ask you something.
Now, wait a minute, I want to ask you something. What does you mean by busting in here this way in the middle of the winter and waking somebody up? Don't you know if I don't get a good winter's sleep, that I ain't no count at all the whole summer long? I go through the whole spring and summer red-eyed and blurry-eyed and needing sleep. Don't you know that?
I ain't caring nothing about that. I don't worry about how much trouble you have in life, and me I thinks about. I the only one that worry about me, and you ain't worrying about me, and I ain't worrying about you. So don't give me no trouble, boy. Now listen here, hear what I want to know. Is there such thing as a pet?
No.
That's all I want to know.
Wait a minute, Brer Bear.
Come on, Brer Rabbit, you done had your say long enough. And dinner's gonna be late this day. Come on, boy.
well, children, they just about started out the cave and was heading back for old Brer Fox's den, where little Brer Rabbit would have sure been a goner. And old Brer Bear, he woke up just a little bit more, and he said,
A pet? What is a pet? A pet is a... pet. Oh, pet! Yes, there's such a thing as a pet, Brer Fox.
There is?
Oh, don't you just know there is?
Well, maybe you've been telling the truth after all, Brer Rabbit.
I sure is.
What is a pet, Brer Bear?
Oh, a pet, that's somebody that got somebody to look after them and pet them and give them plenty to eat and a nice place to sleep where it's warm and somebody to love them. And I know it sounds impossible, but the hundreds of animals that's got that kind of life.
You see, I could have that kind of life, Brer Rabbit.
If you're a good pet.
Okay. You find me a place to get tried out. I'll show 'em that I'm the best pet in the whole world.
and what happened after that gonna have to wait until the next sitting, children. But old Uncle Remus will be back with another story at this same time tomorrow.
Well, Brer Rabbit has a lot of tricks to get away from Brer Fox, doesn't he? Do you think Brer Fox will really try to be someone's pet? I guess we'll have to wait until tomorrow to find out what happened. Now here's Cousin Caroline to tell us a little story called Truly Free.
Praise Him, all ye little children. God is love, God is love. Praise Him, all ye little children. God is love, God is love.
John 8:31 and 32. Then Jesus said to those Jews which believed on him, If ye continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Truly free. I feel so free, said a boy in California who had asked the Lord Jesus to be his Savior. My cousin and I used to do bad things. I used to steal, but I don't want to do those things anymore. It's like a heavy burden rolled off my back. Before we receive the Lord Jesus, we are like slaves. Sin is our master. But Jesus has no sin. He is filled with truth. When he comes into your heart and forgives your sin, he sets you free from its power. You no longer have to obey your old master. Even though a Christian has power to say no to sin, that old master does not give up. He keeps trying to get you to do wrong. God's word helps you be strong against sin. Here are some special promises for you to remember. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. 1 John 4:4. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13.
For me to live is Christ. For me to live is Christ. I reckon myself dead unto sin and live my life for him. For me to live is Christ. For me to live is Christ. I reckon myself dead unto sin and live my life for him. I will go in the strength of the Lord God. I'll make mention of his righteousness alone. He's my refuge in time of trial. He's my strength when I am weak and worn. So I'll go in the strength of the Lord God. I will go in the strength of the Lord. I will go in the strength of the Lord God. I'll make mention of his righteousness alone. He's my refuge in time of trial. He's my strength when I am weak and worn. So I'll go in the strength of the Lord God. I will go in the strength of the Lord.
Redeemed, how I love to proclaim it, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed through his infinite mercy, his child and forever I am. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed, redeemed, his child and forever I am. Redeemed and so happy in Jesus, no language my rapture can tell. I know that the light of his presence with me doth continually dwell. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, redeemed, his child and forever I am. I know I shall see in his beauty the King in whose law I delight, who lovingly guardeth my footsteps and giveth me songs in the night. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, redeemed, his child and forever I am.
Praise him, all ye little children. God is love, God is love.
Have you been redeemed? We're all lost in sin and we can't be redeemed with money. Jesus paid the price for our sin so we could be brought back to him. The devil wants to keep us all in slavery, like Omar, the orphan boy in our next story.
Our story is written by Harry Trover, and it's entitled the quarry slave. Long ago and far away in a distant land, there lived a child who is known to us only as the boy Omar. His name would have been forgotten altogether by this time, except for a chain of circumstances which began to form link by link without his even knowing it. Until one day he found himself so helplessly bound that there was no way of escape. The boy Omar was very poor. He had no mother or father and lived like his brother the sparrow by picking up the crumbs that others dropped. Because he was so poor, he longed to be rich. But how could a poor orphan boy ever obtain riches? Still, he sought for a way until one day he met an evil old man who sat in front of his shop in the marketplace. The ugly old merchant smiled, and the boy Omar shuddered at the sight of one broken yellow tooth protruding out of a dirty beard.
Can I sell you something sweet, boy?
What? You mean me, sir?
Who else? Who else? Every boy likes sweets, eh?
Yes, but I have no money to buy.
Oh, I'll give you credit. I know an honest face.
But you don't know me. How could you trust me?
I know you. You are the boy Omar. Yes, I am right.
How do you know my name?
I know.
And who are you?
Rasp. The merchant Rasp. Here, have a sweet. Here, take it. Take it, lad, take it.
Thank you, sir. Very kind. I am hungry. I have not eaten for 2 days. How good.
Another. Satisfy that sweet tooth, Omar. Here, have another.
Thank you. I'll never forget your kindness, Merchant Rasp. I'll not forget it.
Wait, before you go. I always like to keep my record straight. 2 figs. The boy Omar. Put your name here, boy.
I am ignorant, sir. I cannot write my name.
Then put an X here beside your name. I will write it for you.
How good you are to feed a hungry boy.
Whenever you are hungry, come to see me. If you need money, remember Rasp is your friend. All you need to do is make your sign on my books. Your signature is as good as money to me.
Thank you, sir. I'll visit you again.
The rabbit is hopping into the snare.
Merchant Rasp, I must see you. Come inside the shop.
What is it, Omar? What is it?
Today, I went down to the harbor to watch the ships come in. I thought I might find work. I met a sailor on ship from India. He showed me a ruby as big as the egg of a hen.
Ruby?
He will give it to me for 100 pieces of gold, and it is worth a fortune. It's like a great drop of blood with a light of sun in it.
Fool! It is a trick. Why does he not make a fortune from it himself if it is so valuable?
He has a reason, a very dark reason, I have guessed, but he will not tell me what it is.
How do you know it's worth a penny? A fortune. Bah!
I, too, could not believe my ears, but then he offered to go with me to show it to the jewel merchant. He waited outside while I took it in. The jewel merchant examined the stone and said it was worth a fortune. He wanted to buy it right then.
All right. I will give you the money at 100% interest. You pay me double what you borrow. I, too, want to profit from this fortune.
Give me the money.
First, sign your name in my books. I'm writing it down. 100 pieces of gold. Interest, 100%. There. The boy Omar. Place your X there.
Too late, the boy Omar realized that he had forged a chain of debt that bound him to the evil Rasp for the rest of his life. The trap was sprung, and the boy Omar heard the gate of the debtor's prison swing shut behind him. It was a foul place, dark, damp, crawling with all sorts of insects. Omar sat on a tuft of dirty straw, his face buried in his arms. Suddenly, he sensed that someone was standing over him.
Oh, you startled me.
What is a young boy doing in a debtor's prison?
I'm in debt. Hopelessly in debt, sir.
To whom?
The merchant Rasp.
So, that old devil has caught another victim in his trap.
You know him?
Everyone knows him. But how did he trap you into debt?
He gave me food when I was hungry, for credit. Then yesterday I met a sailor from India. He offered to sell me a big ruby worth a fortune for 100 pieces of gold.
Was it a real stone?
It was. The jewel merchant said it was. He wanted to buy it. So I borrowed the money from Rasp. Last night I met the sailor in a dark place. He gave me the ruby, and I gave him the money. This morning when I took the ruby to the jewel merchant, he took one look at the thing and shouted that I was trying to rob him. I told him that it was the same ruby he wanted to buy the day before, and he said I was playing a trick. It was not a real ruby, only paste.
And then?
The word spread through the marketplace. Rasp heard it and demanded that I pay him in full. I could not, so here I am. What will they do to me, sir?
The law says that the debtor must work until his debt is paid.
But how can I ever pay my debt in prison?
Rasp knows how. You see, you are not the first one who ever bought a ruby made of paste. I have met others, too. It is part of Rasp's wicked plot to get one so in his debt that they cannot pay. Then he throws them in prison.
But why?
Rasp owns a quarry mine. Because he pays so little and no one wants to spend his life in a deep hole under the ground digging rock, he cannot get anyone to work for him. This is his way of getting labor cheap. He will ask the court to make you work out your debt in the quarry mines.
Will they do it?
It is the law. Rasp can demand it, and he will.
Please, sir, help me. What can I do? Who can help me?
Only the goodness of God can save you now. Pray, son. Pray that God will spare your young life.
I will pray. I'll pray night and day. But is there no one who will help me?
There is one chance. The law says that every debtor may appeal his case to the crown. If the king is willing to hear you, you may be given some consideration. It's hard to hope, for the law says your debt must be paid.
The boy Omar sent his petition to the king. When he learned of his case, his heart was moved by the story of this boy who would have to live the rest of his life in the bottom of a mine because he owed a debt he could not pay. Now the boy Omar stands before the king, his story told, and he waits for the king's word.
You admit you owe this money to the merchant Rasp?
I do, yes.
You know your debt must be paid?
Yes, your majesty.
Then how will you pay it?
The debt is too great. I cannot pay it.
Then you have no case. Why did you seek an audience with the king?
I have heard that our king is good and just. I throw myself upon your mercy. I am not worthy of the least of your favor, your majesty, but I ask for your mercy, for your help. Without it, I am lost.
The debt must be paid. If I should pay it for you, then what?
Then I would beg to be your servant, your slave. I would serve you all my life.
You are pardoned, my son. I will pay your debt in full.
Oh, thank you, your majesty. Thank you.
But you have another debt which you cannot pay, which I cannot pay either.
Oh, but your majesty is mistaken. I have no debt other than this one.
It is a debt of sin, Omar. Just as the merchant Rasp deceived you until you were hopelessly in debt to him, so Satan makes us think he is our friend. And finally we find that we have forged a chain of sin which has us bound for the rest of our lives. And there is no hope for us. Everyone stands guilty before God, bound by a debt of sin.
But, Your Majesty, is there no hope at all?
None at all, Omar, unless one is willing to throw oneself upon the mercy of the King of Kings. You see, God's Son, the Lord Jesus, has paid the debt for everyone's sin. He redeemed us with the precious red coin of his shed blood. And if we are willing to come to him, asking for mercy, he will forgive, and our debt to God will be paid. Omar, what will you do about your debt of sin?
Your Majesty, you have told me that Jesus paid it all. So I will accept this free gift from him, and I will thank him and serve him all my life.
Child of 7 or even 3 or 4 may enter into heaven through Christ the open door. For when the heart believeth on Christ the Son of God, 'tis then the soul receiveth salvation through his blood.
Have you accepted God's gift of salvation? We cannot buy our freedom from sin and slavery. The worst kind of slavery is to be a slave to Satan and sin. The only way we can be free is to receive Jesus Christ as our Savior and accept his free gift of salvation. You can do that by just praying and asking Jesus to forgive your sins and be the captain of your life. Will you do that today? Don't put it off. Do it now, okay? We love you and we're praying for you, and we'd like to hear from you. Write to us at Captain's Kids, Harbour Light, Carriacou, Grenada. That's Captain's Kids, Harbour Light, Carriacou, Grenada. Write and tell us about yourself and tell us where you live, okay? Oh, here we are, back at the jetty again. We'll have another trip at the same time tomorrow, so don't forget to be in time. We'll have more fun and blessing with the Captain's Kids. This is your Auntie Arlene saying goodbye.
Captain's Kids, Captain's